Hello there, welcome to this first episode in the first series of our free computer studies lessons. In this series, we are going to be looking at the topic Introduction to Computers. Now, I basically decided to choose to start with this topic because this topic is a topic that we're going to look at the most basic concepts of computer studies, which are going to be beneficial throughout the program. So this topic, we're looking at the most basic concepts, and it's going to benefit learners in all grades, that is from grade 8 through to grade 12. So in this topic, we're going to have a number of different episodes, and in the first episode, we are going to be looking at the subtopic, the main parts of a computer. Now, before we basically look at the main parts of the computer, we are first going to define what a computer is. So a computer is defined as an electronic device that operates under the control of instructions stored in its own memory. So these instructions are basically there to facilitate the processes of input, processing, and output. Okay, so in this definition, we have a few key points. Number one is that a computer is a machine, or it is a device which is electronic in nature. Number 2 point is that this device operates under the control of instructions, and these instructions are basically what we refer to as software. And the third key point is that these instructions are stored in the memory of the computer system, and all these things work together in order for the computer or the system to allow the user to be able to input or to enter data into the system, after which, when the data has been entered into the system, that data is going to be processed. Processing involves a whole lot of processes which basically involve the converting of that data into useful information. Okay, so computers are in different types and sizes. So basically, when we talk about a computer, most people think of the desktop computer, but basically the desktop computer is simply but one type of a computer. There are several other types of computer, which include the laptop, which is another type of a computer. We have smartphones, we have tablets. All these are different forms of computers. So when we define a computer as an electronic device which operates under the control of instructions in order to allow for input, processing, and output, you discover that all these different types of computers are able to fit into that definition. Now, we also refer to a computer as a general purpose machine, which means that it is a machine that can be used for different purposes by different people. So its task is not specific per se, but it is a general purpose machine. For example, if you look at the way I use my computer, it is far different from the way other people may use their computers. Personally, I use my computer for things such as graphic design because I do a lot of graphics. But then you discover that the next person may not even have any graphic software because they have no use for graphics. Maybe this next person only watches movies on that computer. So computers are referred to as general purpose machines because they are allowed to, they allow different users to use these machines for different purposes. Okay, so the parts of the computer are divided into two main categories. The first category is the hardware. Okay, the hardware, this is basically the physical component of the computer which we can touch and see. Okay, then the other part is the software. The software is basically the set of instructions that tells the computer how to perform a particular task. Now, there are many people who tend to define software as basically the opposite of hardware. We define hardware as the physical part of the computer which we can touch and see. But then it does not mean software, this is the part of the computer which we cannot touch, because there are a lot of things which we cannot touch, but that doesn't mean those are software. So software, these are the set of instructions that tell the computer what to do and how to do it. And software is also referred to as a program. Okay, so now looking at some of the hardware components that exist in a computer system. Firstly, I'll look at the four main parts of the computer, four main hardware parts of the computer. With the first one being the monitor. Okay, the monitor is basically the screen that allows us to see what is happening inside the computer system. So I have an example of a monitor there. That is basically a screen which allows us to see what is happening inside the computer system. Now these monitors, again, there are different types of monitors. We have the CRT monitor, CRT, which stands for cathode ray tube. So the cathode ray tube type of monitor are these types of monitors which have today more or less gone out of fashion. The ones that have got a big behind. Okay, so those are called cathode ray tube because at the back they have a tube which produces a ray of light, okay, which beams to the front of the screen, allowing the image to be formed, which we are able to see. And this is what causes, this is what makes those monitors to have a big back, because inside that big back there is a tube, and at the far end of the tube is a light beam which beams to the front of the screen, thereby creating an image. Imagine how you see a projector working. That light beam that projects onto a wall, imagine that light beam being inside a tube, a glass tube, and then creating an image on the front of the screen. Okay, so that is the CRT monitor. The cathode ray tube on the the LCD monitor, on the other hand, this stands for liquid crystal display. Okay, so this one is called liquid crystal display because the display is actually formed, or the image is actually formed using liquid inside the screen. So there is no ray of light there. So that's why these are also referred to as flat screen monitors, because there is no tube and there's no light beam. The image is formed using liquid. And then it's referred to as liquid crystal display. The crystal meaning it's clear. So if you compare the LCD monitor and the CRT, you discover that the LCD is much more clear than the CRT monitor. Okay, aside from the monitor, we also have a keyboard, which is another type of a hardware component, one of the main parts of the computer system. The keyboard, this is the part of the computer which has several keys on it that allows us to enter data and instructions into the computer system. Okay, so the keyboards, there are different types of keyboards, but one of the most common types of keyboard is referred to as the QWERTY keyboard, and the name of that keyboard is actually coming from the top row where you have the letters there. The top row actually reads as QWERTY because those are the letters that you find on the top row of this type of keyboard. Okay, so the third type, the third part, which is part of the main parts of the computer system, is the mouse. The mouse is basically also used to enter data and instructions into the computer by moving the cursor onto different points of the screen. Okay, and lastly, the fourth and most important part, I guess, of the main parts of the computer system is the system unit. the system unit is basically the component or the case that houses all the hardware components that are responsible for processing of data. These components include the CPU, which is the central processing unit. It involves the memory, and the hard drive, which is the main storage of the computer system. Aside from these, there are also a whole lot of other components that you find inside the system unit. Now you notice that several people refer to the system unit as the CPU. Now, the reason for this is very simple. The CPU is just but a small chip, which is the one that does all the processing inside the system unit. This CPU is often referred to as the brain of the computer because this CPU, the way our brains function in our human bodies is actually similar to how the CPU operates in a computer system. So basically it is the most prominent part in the system unit, and thus the entire system unit is also sometimes referred to as the CPU. Okay, so the four main parts I have mentioned, the four main parts of the computer system. Number one, we have the monitor. Number two, we have the keyboard. Number three, we have the mouse. And number four, we have the system unit. Now, aside from these four main parts, there are other components that we may connect to the computer system. The computer may be used with these four main parts, but these other components just basically will add more functionality to our system. These may include one, the UPS. A UPS is basically an uninterruptible power supply unit, and this UPS is basically a device that you connect your desktop computer to, or any computer that relies on power. Okay, so meaning that when you connect this computer system to your UPS, when you have a power cut, the UPS actually stores power, and your computer will remain running for a period of time, allowing you to properly save your work and then shutting down the computer properly and correctly. Other hardware components also include a printer. A printer is basically a device that allows you to create hard copy documents from soft copy. So if you have created a document on a computer, you can create a hard copy of that document by printing it out or displaying that information on a piece of paper using a printer. Other than the printer, we also have devices such as scanners. A scanner is basically a device that allows you to create a soft copy from a hard copy. So you're basically getting a hard copy document and then creating a soft copy. So in contrast, you may say that the printer and the scanner do the opposite. Okay, so the printer creates a hard copy from a soft copy, whereas a scanner creates a soft copy from a hard copy. Aside from that, we also have other hardware components we can talk about, such as microphones. We can talk about speakers. We can talk about a whole lot of other, we can talk about cameras. There are a lot of other components which could be connected to the computer system in order to add to the computer's functionality. So we have talked about a number of different hardware components, and very quickly I'll also just highlight a few things on softwares. The software, we have defined it as a set of instructions that tells the computer how to perform a particular task. So it tells the computer what to do, and it also tells the computer how to do what it has told the computer to do. So there are two categories of software. These include the system software as well as the application software. The system software, these are types of softwares that do managerial tasks in the computer, meaning that they manage the entire system. They manage all hardware components of the computer and every other device that is connected to the computer. And they also manage all softwares, all application softwares that are installed on that computer. So these system softwares, they are managing the entire system. Examples of these include operating system softwares as well as utility programs. Okay, operating system, we have operating systems such as Microsoft Windows, Microsoft Windows 7, Microsoft Windows 8, Windows 10. We have the Mac operating system, which is the Mac OS. We have the Linux. We have the Ubuntu, and so on and so forth. We also have the Android operating system, which we have on most of these mobile phones that we are using. Okay. Then the utility applications, these also perform managerial tasks in the sense that they are used for maintenance types of tasks on your computer, maintenance of your memory, and also certain apps to ensure that the system is running at optimum performance. Okay. Aside from the system software, we also have the other types of software, which are application softwares, which we in short call apps, which is simply meaning application. So these application softwares are softwares that allow you to perform specific tasks. Okay, so for example, if we talk about if you want to play music on your computer, there's a specific application that you would use. You would use a media player, which will be used to play music and maybe videos or movies. Okay, if you want to browse the web, you use an application which is a web browser. If you want to send a WhatsApp message, you use the application WhatsApp. So there are different applications which are used for different tasks. If you want to play music, you obviously not go to WhatsApp. If you want to send a WhatsApp message, you will not go to Opera Mini. So each application is designed for a specific purpose, and these applications are those that make us productive and allow us to do specific tasks. So that is our lesson today, and I hope you have learned one or two things, and look out for the next episode, which is episode 2 of our Introduction to Computers series. Okay, so thank you for watching. Remember to like my page, that is Casno Exclusive, and remember to subscribe to my channel, my YouTube channel, Enoch Kasamu, and remember to share this video so that this program can benefit a whole lot of people. Thank you so much.